Today's episode is perhaps a little less predictable in that I'll be interviewing someone who deals with technology companies to get rid of their surplus equipment. In fact, they bill themselves as the number one reverse logistics provider for all types of excess electronic assets and equipment. However, the founder of the company and our guest today has fascinating insights into predictably scaling companies, which could be applied to just about any business. We'll dive into that in a moment. Hello, and welcome to the Predictable B2B Success podcast brought to you by Sproutwith.com. I'm Vinay Koshy, and our guest today is Victor Gichun. Victor, you were born in what is now Ukraine, I believe, and moved to the US in 2011. You then started a business with just a travel visa and built the business in 3 years to about 7 figures. So you are actually a serial entrepreneur, investor, co-founder, VP of business development at Access Logic, which is your current company. And you have something like well over 500 corporate customers, including the likes of Google, Facebook, Hitachi, and Mercedes-Benz. You're also the creator and host of the Contributors channel, YouTube, where you interview successful entrepreneurs, executives, and key influencers who make a change and shares their insights in business, investments, crypto, how to make money, and how to build wealth. I'm curious, coming to the US in itself would be quite a challenge, but you pretty much drove straight into creating a business. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was and how you got started?
Hi, Vinay. Thanks so much for having me here. And yes, the purpose to come to the US was to extend my business, which I had in Moscow, in Russia. Yes, you're right. I was born in Ukraine. And when Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, 2 years later, after I graduated college, I moved to Moscow because it was the place where you had the largest opportunities on the post-Soviet Union space, I would say. And I built a software development company in Moscow. And in 2011, I just felt it's right time just to move to the place which I dreamed about since I was 14, because I'm dreaming to move to the US since I was a kid. I thought I had enough experience and enough everything I need just to move and start something doing in this country. So this is how it happens in 2011.
And when you came to the US, did you continue with that software company or did you build a brand new business?
Yeah, this is a good question because, I had an idea that I can just come to the US, register the company, and just do the same things I was doing in Russia, just on a larger scale, because it's like more people, 3 times more people than in Russia, and 10 times more money than in Russia. But unfortunately, was the first lesson I learned, that probably all people who move to the US or to another country, to the new country, that it's not quite the same market, not quite the same situation. You can just do, maybe some businesses, I don't know, can do it, but most of the people I met after that, they said the same. You can't just do and replicate what you've done in your country. You need to do it either differently or do completely different. So within like pretty much first day when I arrived to the US and I turned on the TV, and during the prime time, 6 p.m. on TV, I saw the company's advertisement that my competitors. In Russia, my competitors, they didn't have money to pay for radio advertisement. Here in the US, I see my direct competitors advertising in prime time, spending millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on this. I figure out this is market which I'm not going to do and sell product and services I'm selling in Russia. I need to do something different.
And so what did you do?
I decided to sell my business in Russia because I figured out, first of all, it's hard to manage business in the country with 12-hour difference in time, even though I had a partner there, but still I was in sales and marketing and I need to spend some time. Secondly, I just figured out, okay, I need to spend my time trying to find something here. And what can I do here by using my skills, my experience, which I have, which I built and earned in Russia, what I can do here. All right. So I spent first probably year or so to prepare my Russian business for sale, which I successfully sold in 2014. And here I figure out that I need actually a co-founder to find a person, local person that moved here better from the country which I moved, either from Ukraine or from Russia, who had better, larger and more experience in building business here, understanding how the current market works, what is the legislations, what is the rules, laws, and so on and so forth. So I can avoid those pitfalls which you experience when you start in business. But yeah, my goal was from the very first day, I'm not gonna find a job and go and work as an employee, because I've been in business and work for myself like since 1997. So it was not an option. And this is what I did. And I just met my current CEO and co-founder in I believe 12 or 2013. And we started doing business together. And since then we running Access Logic.
Access Logic started back in 2013 or thereabouts.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And were you doing the kinds of things that you're doing now, being the reverse logistics provider for electronic assets?
Not quite right, because when we started business, it was a huge challenge for me from different perspectives. First, even though I had a co-founder and business partner like my current CEO with 25 years been here and running a lot of different businesses before, right? But anyway, we need to figure out and the first, how are we going to approach, who are our customers, how are we going to approach. So what he was doing, he was buying and selling surplus equipment before we met. When we met, he said, listen, you have a corporate experience selling services to corporate clients in Russia. Why don't you use your experience here instead of him buying equipment from the clients or from somebody who got that equipment from our clients, like auctions, right? Why don't I approach those clients like the auctions and our competitors do and take that equipment from them, and then we sell. So we don't need to buy that equipment. We don't need to take this risk. Because when you buy something used, it's a huge risk. It may not work. You may not never sell it because the market changed and so on and so forth. And I said, yeah, let's do it. It's easy to say than done. Because I never made a one single cold call when I was running business in Russia. Because in Russia, since I was in software development business, in internet's sphere, that business was growing without us making calls. We just put $500 on advertisement on search engine like Yandex or Google, and people were calling us, and on $500 investment, we were making $5,000. On $1,000 investment, you're making $10,000. So it was like 1 to 10. So there's no brainer. There's no point to call the client. So client call you tell them it's $10,000 per website. If there is no money, buy. And you just get the next call. For 10 years, so I never get this experience how to make cold calls. So when I said to my partner, yeah, let's do this, I need to learn who are the clients, what I need to say when I call, who exactly I need to call in that company, how to handle objections, and who are we? Are we just recycling company, or we're a marketing company, or so positioning was another challenge. How position ourselves the right way so we're not just another Me Too product. And this took a while, because at the same time, don't forget, I was learning the English, which is my not native English. In Russia, we don't speak English. We learn it in school, but the system made the way that people actually can't speak English. Probably for a reason, I don't know, from Soviet Union, so they move out of the country. So finally, it took us about 2 years until I stumbled upon the book by Aaron Ross, Predictable Revenue, and that was a game changer. So what we did, I read the book, and that was for me just mind-blowing. Okay, this is how we need to sell. This is how we need to have what kind of sales structure, just for viewers to understand what is this about briefly, right? If I may. The main mistake all companies in the world make this mistake still, even though this book was published probably 10 years ago already, if not more. They have one person that find leads, prospect them, book appointment, close them, and then do project management. This is the largest, humongous mistake we did, and a lot of companies. This book exactly explaining why it's wrong and how it needs to be done right. So sales department need to have at least two people. One person who trained who is your customer client, who is your customer profile, what is the right company, what is the wrong company, what is the right title in the company, what is the wrong title in the company, what script this person need to use to call to that person, email to that person, call the email and then call and book just a point.
Mm.
So this is not like high level salesperson. That could be anyone who just can speak language.
Yeah.
That's it. And then once this person find the person, the prospect, book appointment, then the closer close the deal. Closer has discovery call, and on discovery call, learn, is this really the person who we need to talk to? Is this really the person we need to make a presentation to? Is this really the person who we need to spend our time?
Mhm.
By just separating this role to two parts, prospecting and then discovery call closing, it's changed our business dramatically. And with the first year after we implemented, sales had grown 500% just in 1 year. This is, I would highly recommend to all viewers who are looking for how to increase sales without hiring top stars for which you will be paying, I know, hundreds of $1,000s. Just do this, what in this book, you will really increase your sales dramatically.
Brilliant. So it's been quite a journey for you to date. What would you say would be your personal area of strength?
Persistence. I don't have any talents. I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't write books, I can't pretty much do anything. And because of that, the only thing I can do to outsell, outperform my competition and anybody who I'm compete with, and I'm very competitive, it's just persistence. I just do it until it works. And I do
Right.
it consistently, not just once. So again, example, like cold calling, right? So when we started doing business in 2013, so I just, okay, who should I call? Okay, I found on Google $200 database, 20 million businesses in the US. I just downloaded that spreadsheet, paid $200, and I just started calling all companies without understanding. Some companies like two people, they have one printer. There is no way, no point to call, but it's stupid. But the persistence and consistency will, if you're not completely dumb, like I hope I'm not, you finally figure out, okay, these companies you're not supposed to call, these people you're not supposed to talk. So if you don't have a mentor who can really lead you right away, and my partner, unfortunately, he was not the person who really, he gave me advices, but not like that deep, right? Which is fine. He has his own edge. What equipment is good, what is bad, and how to sell it to recover more value for our customers. This is his, I would say, qualification and the best edge, competitive edge. So finally, I learned what is the right people. So persistently calling 100 to 120 people a day for 3 years, show me how many people can do it. So it's better than any
Indeed.
talent. You just do it. You
Mm.
come to work and you not leave in a table until you make at least 100 calls.
Mm.
Because there is a number game. Even though you have very bad English, people don't understand what you're saying. Moreover, you don't understand what they answer to you. So this is like the blind with the deaf conversation. And you trying to make money out of it. You can imagine, right? The pressure. You just move on, okay? You just turn off your emotions and you just do it like a machine, like a robot, like a tank. This is, I think, anyone with any skills can achieve anything in life and business if he or she will just be persistent and consistent.
That is very insightful. So would you say that most businesses don't take the time to develop this quality of persistence?
Yes, so one of the biggest common cause of business and personal failure, people underestimate how much time and how much money it will take for business or idea to take off. This is our nature. We always look at this type of things very too optimistic, I would say. We expect that it's going to happen faster, and we need to put less efforts and less time to get results. And then when we haven't achieved what we expected, we got frustrated. And here's the biggest problem. Here's, I would say, why 9 out of 10 people fail in life, business in life. It's like, just imagine a summit. You have a summit and you want to go to that summit. We're not taking like extreme case with Everest. Let's take regular summit. Anybody, you and I can achieve, can get there. So you walk for 5 days. And after 5 days, you realize, so from the point where you are right now, there's no way you can make it. The only way you can do, you need to go back 5 days and find another trail. And you're not sure that new trail will actually lead you to the summit. At this point, when you need to make this step back to, again, total uncertainty, because there is no guarantee that when you get back in 5 days and you find another trail, it will lead you to this. People can't make this step just psychologically. They just stuck and they keep on beating this dead horse until they run out of money, run out of patience, run out of energy, and they just give up because they just don't make this mental shift. That's okay. I made mistake. Let's get back to the where we started and let's try another way. Let's try from another perspective. Let's try to sell the service on the different angle. Let's try, instead of selling this product, let's try to sell that product, combination of products or whatever, make some pivots. You know what I mean? So this is very hard and I'm guilty of it. I know sometimes it took me too long to try and to do things which not really work, and I still believe that it will be working. But like Einstein said, insanity is trying to do the same things and expect different results, right?
Obviously, the book Predictable ROI, I think it is called,
Revenue, right?
Revenue by Ross, was a pivotal point in your journey. Was it just about developing the systems and the processes that you described that led you to this growth, or to this growth journey with Access Logic? Or was there a shift required in the kind of messaging and the way you communicate it to potential prospects as well?
Yeah, so that was the first, I would say, pivot that helped us at least to create kind of framework for our salespeople, so they can really produce result that we can predict. This is why it's called predictable revenue. So we understand that if we put a person, or we put this person, train this person the right way, give this person enough time of training, this person, we should expect from this person that so many discovery calls, and from these discovery calls, we should expect so many deals closed won, deals closed lost, and so on and so forth. And this is why it's called predictable revenue. But then we realized that the problem is that when you're trying to make this assumptions and KPI, you always look at yourself. What is your past performance? But I'm a co-founder of the business, and it's stupid to expect from just regular employees work as hard as I work, because I had no choice. I moved from another country. I burned all the bridges. I have nothing left there. So I'm like a Trojan. Remember this army, they moved and they burn all their ships so they cannot get back until they win. I was in the same situation, but my employees, they're not like that. They're not gonna work like that. So you need to hire people who mentally, actually, top performers. And this is, we didn't realize right away. And this is what we realized, believe it or not, just last year. 2022. It took us some, time doing, we were okay, we were growing, but then at some point we reached some plateau. So it doesn't go up. And I figured out something wrong. So people stuck and they can't book more, even though the system should produce more business. I realized that this is just not the best people and not the best way we're hiring people. So fortunately, I started working with Jay Abraham. It's my mentor, and he mentored Tony Robbins and Damon John from Shark Tank and many other great people. He was mentor for them. And he shared with me information about one of his mentees, Chet Holmes. And I read the Chet Holmes book called Ultimate Sales Machine. And this is another book I would highly recommend to these viewers. It's like it's like a real Bible, which cover all aspects of business. Any person who run business or want to run business really need to have this on the table. It covers all the aspects of the business, not just sales, predictable revenue, but all the aspects. And one of the aspects in this book I learned was how to spot and hire top performers. And this is what I want to share with you. And this was another game changer. This one to share with your viewers. So I think that was trick. This technology was taken from Alexander the Great, who built the greatest army in history, right? How they hired the warriors, because a lot of people want to fight for the Alexander the Great because he was winning all the wars, and everybody wants to go with somebody who wins, not who loses, right? Because they have higher chance to survive and make a lot of money, right? But they couldn't hire anyone. They need to hire the best warriors, right? So it was the method. So his generals, who was in charge of hiring new warriors, what they did, they threatened them into the face, and those warriors that got red after the fear were hired because it was natural reaction, aggression, because blood naturally come to their face. And those warriors that got white, like pale face, they were rejected because naturally they become afraid. Same technique, but just more like modern way without doing this type of things. We started using in our interview. And so we have pre-screening process so we posted an advertisement that we hire only top performers. If you're not top performer, don't bother. And then when people apply, we have a person that asks just one question: tell me why you're top performer. And the person start like, okay, my mama said I'm top performer. My girlfriend says I'm great in sales, and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter what this person says. You can even turn off the sound. It's irrelevant. Once the person stops talking, the next phrase, the person that makes the pre-screening interview says, I'm sorry, but I don't see top performer. So this is the punch in the face which nobody expects. Nobody get rejection right on the interview. And this is show us immediately the natural reaction of this person, how this person behaved. And believe it or not, 8 out of 10 people, the resume is the same. 3 years experience in sales, millions of dollars, work for Google, work for wherever. You can't guess it by what is written in an interview. But this little trick, little test, little technique changed the whole game for our company. 8 out of 10 people say, okay, thank you for your time. And they just hang up. And 2 people start, wait a second. And they did a different reaction. Wait a second. What do you mean I'm not top performer? My numbers always was number 1 in my sales team. I always beat all the records. I got all the awards. What else do you use? They start selling themselves. They don't give up. They don't take no for answer natural. And these people, this is who we have second interview, and then we see. So this was second, I would say, pivot in our company by implementing this technique and plus compensation, which I can talk later if we have time. We increase our number of discovery call we book for the fourth quarter compared to the first quarter last year, 500% difference. Just because we hired different people. Same script, same business, same services, same customer profile. Different people, 500% up in number of discovery calls.
Brilliant. And you mentioned the compensation system, so let's explore that as well.
Yeah. But there is another kind of dimension on this. Yeah, you can use this technique and hire top performers, but if your compensation system sucks, they're not going to work for you. They will go somewhere where compensation system is better, because top performers, they're very competitive, and as they feel that environment where they work don't appreciate them financially, emotionally, and first of all, you really need to hire only top performers because they hate working with underperformers because they're like, what the fuck? I'm working here my ass off and he is doing nothing and we getting the same compensation. It's just unfair. It's like in Soviet Union. You want to create socialism environment here. So we created a compensation for them based on KPI. So they all have base salary. And then this base salary, they changes depends on the number of discovery calls they book. First grade, for example, let's say there is a minimum 10 per month and you get minimum compensation. If you book 15, you get more. If you book 20, you get salary more. If you book 25, you get again salary more. And it's like proportionally more and more. But if you book less than 10 for 3 months, you will be fired. And they understand that. But this is not where we stop. On the top of that, we want them not just work for months and then at the end of the month, because I am in sales, I know how it works. You work for 20 days and then, oh gosh, 10 days left and I'm behind the KPI. I want them every day be somehow compensated so they work every day their ass off and not because they're afraid to miss that quotas at the end of the month, but because they can make more money on the top of this salary. So what we did, we implemented bonuses. Daily bonus. Whoever booked the first discovery calls get extra money right away. Next paycheck. If you book the same day the second discovery call, you get again money. The third, even more money. Let's say you get $7, then for the third you get $10, then another $10. So for them, it's not just, okay, I book one discovery course, it's 20 days, so I'm gonna make 20 discovery calls, so I'm relaxed. It's not gonna work this way right now. Now he understands if you book another one, he get another money. So we naturally, instead of using the, like you use, how you call it, when you like carrot and stick and carrot, right? Instead of using just stick, we use carrot. So we give them carrot every time they produce a little bit better than average result. This is what top performers want. They want to have no limit, so they're in charge of how much money they make. And they understand the better they perform, the more money they get. And this is another, we support top performance. And a lot of people we hired, some of them quit because they turn out to be not top performers. They didn't pass this kind of test on compensation like that. And those who stays, they're real actual top performers. So the combination of hiring top performers and the right compensation exactly gave us this 500% boost in discovery calls last year compared to first and the last quarter.
Victor, that's really interesting. You told us how to hire top performers and keep them. I'm curious, obviously there is an element of wanting to increase their success rate with the calls that they make. And you suggested earlier on that they should have a script that they follow. I'm curious, how did you decide that the script that you had was good enough to use? Was that from your own personal experiences or did you tweak as you went along the way?
This is a great question. Great question. It's partially my own experience. Like I mentioned, I was making 120 calls a day for 3 years. It's like tens of thousands of calls. So it's the best. So I got some lines which really works. Like we have a truck in your area, for example, great line. When you call somebody, say, hey, John, I know you kind of facility manager and we have actually truck in your area next week. Do you have by chance any surplus equipment? So there is a reason why he need to do something, because we have a truck in his area. He can save money and hop on the truck. But besides that, since our system we use for prospecting record all the calls, I constantly listen in the discovery calls. And when I see something really works, especially the best way I would suggest for anybody who manage sales team, pay attention to the calls which end up in booked discovery call, first of all, because they will give you insight. So listen to the calls of discovery calls that have been set up and pay attention which line work again and again. Like I can share again what worked for us, and we just discovered probably like a couple of months ago. We hired new SDR, we trained her, and she started working. And in the first, she didn't book, and then she started booking. Another thing I want to share with you, I see it. Another thing I want to share with you is get your salespeople involved in training and helping to grow the other members who just know what's going right. Something. Strange. Get involved your SDRs who already work more for your company in training and compensate them for this. Why it's important? Because when you see somebody among all the top performers, still somebody will be more top performer than the others, right? So ask them to help those who just joined team and you see they don't get to the right speed up. And this will help them to help newcomers to get on track faster and start producing. So one of my new SDRs a couple of months ago, she got trained by the old SDRs and she started booking more discovery calls than the SDR who trained her. And I was surprised, like how so? She trained her tricks and now this trainee started producing more. And I noticed that I started listening and I heard the line nobody used before. Hi, John, this is Rosa. I'm calling to verify. This phrase, I'm calling to verify, make people listen because they don't know verify what. They get naturally curious. And I asked her to continue using this line, and I started using line, I'm calling you to verify, and it started working like magic. So yes, my experience, my experience and experience of my SDRs, we constantly listening to their calls, and if we hear something, we implement immediately and share. We have a Skype chat where we share all these insights among all the sales guys. It's very important.
Oh, that's very insightful. And just to clarify, your company, it acquires this excess electronic assets and equipment from tech companies and then resells it. Is that the basic concept?
Yeah, so the concept is to provide our customers with, we found the blue ocean in the ocean. So we started as a recycling company. We just pick up stuff, we recycle or resell. And then we figure out this is not enough to really stand out on this market. So what we started doing, we started providing so-called reverse logistic services. What does it mean? It means that there's a logistic services when company acquire different capital assets and tangible assets, and at some point they become obsolete or they don't need them anymore because they're moving somewhere, they're consolidating as facilities, they got acquired, they merged, or they were going out of business, or they just renew them. And it includes recycling, it includes recycling, it includes remarketing, it includes data destruction. Yeah, so this is how we become, first of all, nationwide, started providing services nationwide. And secondly, we provide this white glove approach. So not just take and sell, because a lot of companies doing this, it's very hard to compete, or a lot of companies just take it and recycle again. We started providing like one glove approach, and this is really make us different. So this is how we acquired a lot of companies after Google, like they really, especially large companies, they need convenience. They want one vendor come and take everything. If there's any value, we give it back. If there's no value, we just recycle it. So it's kind of convenience. This is what. So you need to figure out what your customer really looking for. Because you may think they need money, but they may not need money at all. They just need convenience. Let's say they have 20 facilities across the US. For them, main point that if one person instead of 5 or 20 people will be managing this process, for them it will be huge savings and less work. Then they will appreciate and they will sign a contract with you. So again, it took us time to really find what the actually niche we need to be in this industry, in this business, how to position ourselves the right way. So I would again recommend to your viewers to read a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. It's a
Yep.
great book which give great examples how you really need to look at your business and what you need to look for. You need to look how to find that blue ocean in your business, so you can really, instead of competing with other companies, you just provide service that your customer can't even compare with the offers from your competitors. And that in this market, you will be able to ask your price, which you feel fair for you, and make more money doing exactly the same what you do.
Brilliant. Yeah, and that's very insightful. But I'm curious, with some of the equipment that you're acquiring and trying to then pass on. Obviously, there are some security issues, the potential for technological failure itself down the track. How do you manage those issues in order to just not only just protect yourself from potential liability,
Oh,
but to build that level of trust and confidence from potential buyers as well?
this is actually a very good question because, yeah, a lot of companies who we competed with in the beginning, they just recycling company. They take stuff like computers, electronics, which is easy to understand, and they either recycle them or sell on eBay. It's easy to understand what is hard drive. You just wipe data and sell the hard drive. But our niche is more like a scientific equipment, like life science equipment, which is very sophisticated and it can be used for very unique applications. And if you don't understand what it is, and 99% of the market have no clue what it is, I can tell some of our competitors ship it to us so we can sell it for them on their behalf and then split profits because they have no idea. And this is where the second edge in our business, which my partner provides, because he had this 25-year experience of buying and selling equipment before we met. So it was 15 years before we met. So he built a database in his head, what equipment is actually liquid, what is not, what applications. And another thing which I would really recommend anybody who wants to start business, you need to have in your team either you or somebody on your team, your partner, your co-founder, who really from that industry. So my partner, he used to be a cancer research engineer. So he used to use that equipment which we're good at selling and recovering maximum value. If he wouldn't be, we wouldn't be able to understand what is this device and what is this device and how we would describe them wrongly, we will sell them, ship them, and then we will get it back and we would pay for shipping to the customer and from the customer, and finally our account will be closed. This is how it works. So he is the guy who actually look at those listings, make sure the all wordings properly posted. So it's describe the way this application, this device work for what applications and the condition. It can be listed as non-working for parts. It can be listed as working, used. It's different kind of. So it's very important. He quasi legal advisor in a company who really look into this liabilities issue which you mentioned, because I can give you example why one of the biggest reason why I usually don't recommend our customers to sell anything directly themselves. Some customers, oh, I can sell it myself on eBay. Yes, physically you can. The problem here, and this is a real case which happened to one of our customers several years ago, we were working with them, we're helping them to get rid of some stuff. And at some point, their facility guy sold a vacuum pump to the neighbor biotech company next door. He just says, do you have a vacuum pump? He said, yeah, I have one, which is idle. We don't use it. He sold it for $500. And after some time, within a month or so, the oil leaked from the vacuum pump and caught fire. And the whole lab burned. The lawyers from the insurance company came to the company and asked, where did you get this pump? They said, we bought it from this biotech company next door. So they came and they started asking questions to all the people who work in the lab. Did you use that pump? And they asked the guy who did use that pump. He said, yes, I did use that pump. Was any issue with those pumps? He said, yeah, sometimes it was overheated. Bam! Undisclosed information on sales. They never disclosed it. $2.5 million cost them selling pump for $500.
Wow.
This is why if we sold that pump, we never used that pump, we have nothing to disclose. So this is very serious issue for many companies. They don't realize it until something like that happens. So I would, so your question answering, yes, it's very important to have a knowledge and understanding of what you're selling, what it is for, and what is involved. It's not everybody can do it. You need to have somebody in your business who really has. I don't have the skills. If I would be selling, I would be out of business long time ago. Yeah, this is why I have a partner who doing completely that part of the business, which is very crucial.
You try to service clients nationwide. Obviously, timeliness and being able to pick up equipment and move them quickly and efficiently is important. How do you manage that across the country? Do you actually have a network that you've built out over time, or do you subcontract people to pick up and handle equipment in a certain way?
That's a great question. Yeah, so it didn't happen overnight, of course, but luckily I believe in visualization. So I visualize from the very first day. So one day I will work with Google, right? And it took us, it's probably started in 5 years. So one of my customers, they acquired company that win a contract with Google to supply Google with new technologies for their conference rooms. Guess how many conference rooms Google has worldwide? Not just rooms and offices, just conference room. It's a room with the TV, with the big table where they can sit and discuss issues. How many conference rooms do you think Google has worldwide? Guess number.
Within thousands.
No, like what? 1,000, 10,000, and how many?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 5,000.
30,000
Wow.
conference. Yeah. So those 30,000 conference rooms need to be equipment renewed from HD standard to 4K. 4K TV, 4K codecs, 4K everything. And one company from UK, by the way, they won the contract, and that company got acquired by an American company, which turned out to be my client. And when they got this contract, Google put a condition. We would like you not just install new technologies, we would like you to take old technologies, remove them so we don't need the liability. Can you do that? And our client, they're not recycling company, not reverse logistic company. They're like, okay, what we're gonna do? And then one of the managers said, hey, we have Access Logic. They help us. They can help Google. So they approached me and they said, hey, you help us. Can you help us Google nationwide? I said, sure. Even though we work just in the Bay Area. But in sales, it's very important to say yes and then find solution. So I said, yes, send me the list of addresses where the Google locations so we can see what we can do. So they send us a list of 30 locations nationwide in the US. What I did, I had an intern time, just happened. It was first time, and it was who I need to give some assignment. I said, listen, connect with 2 people per location close by, 2 recycling companies, and book a Zoom call like we have now with all of them. So I had a Zoom call with 60 recycling companies from those locations. And I said, guys, we got a contract. We want partner, reliable partner in that. I want rates from you, how much you charge for these services so I can mark it up, I can make money, and I will provide you this. And we will sign not circumvent agreement with you so you can't approach our clients. And besides Google, we of course start prospecting other companies from your area, but we will use you. So we're not going to compete with you. If it's your client, we're not going to touch it. But if it's not your client and we get this, then you will serve them like logistic partner and you will charge us and we will charge the client and we will maybe be making money. So anyway, for you, I said no difference. Either your competitor will serve the client or you will serve through us, right? Makes sense. And we selected those vendors in 2018, and this is how we avoid this very costly solution like setting up your own physical presence. You need to really have huge volume of orders to pay for the office, for people, for equipment, you understand. And that was the first, and then Facebook came, and then TikTok, and then Mercedes-Benz and other, because we become able to provide this service nationwide. So now we work with many companies just because not many actually companies on this market have ability to provide nationwide services.
Right. I'm also curious. You've been doing this for a while. You've talked through some of the processes and how you approach customer service. I'm curious, is there a tool that you find indispensable to running your business outside of perhaps email? If so, what would it be?
Yeah, in modern world, without technologies, it's no way you can really succeed in any business. So
Mhm.
it's all about innovations. And what I found, and we used it since 2020, it's Apollo.io. Apollo, it's like a mission,
Mhm.
Apollo.io. It's a tool which provide everything we need to find leads, to send, to create like a sequence of emails for those leads, analyze statistics, how many emails analyze statistics, how many emails been delivered, how many emails been responded, and choose the best emails, then make calls, and not just make calls. This system provides us with direct phone numbers, either direct in the office or sometimes even cell phones. Sometimes I call cell phone and this is a wife. Hi, who's calling? I want to talk to John about business. And okay, I'm his wife. What can I do for you? And I talk to those wives and I ask them to ask John to call me back. And sometimes John call me back and say, hey, what do you want from me? And this is John, like executive of the company, 2,000 people. So this is so valuable. So have technology that helps you to find, identify, and reach out those prospects better, because if you will be calling regular number 800 something, it's very hard because you will be leaving messages, voicemails, and people will not be calling you, because right now everybody uses digital voicemail. It's not even physical phone on the desk anymore, and they very rare listen to those voicemails. So will be no go. I can tell. I suggested to one of acquaintances to use the system. He just called me. He said, "Listen, this is like mind blowing. It just game changer." He finally started making business. He started reaching out people and talking to people, because when you talk to the person you're really calling to, not to his voicemail or to some gatekeeper, you have a much higher chance to faster learn what you need to say and book discovery call. This is really game changer.
That's very interesting. I'm curious, what were you using before, or how did it work before Apollo? Did I go?
Yeah, so before Apollo, we started with the free CRM as usually, right?
Yeah.
You don't have much money. You start with something just free, but somehow help. It was Insightly, I believe. And the problem with Insightly was that time in 2013 that it didn't have like automation. I couldn't set up automated emails for people who ask me to follow up in 3 months, for example. I need to
Mhm.
manually really go and remember. I create task for everybody and manually I need to send them. So I started looking for solution. I found Salesforce. Salesforce we're still using, and we automated all our business connected through Salesforce with Apollo, with financial system. It's ERP kind of system for us right now. So we automated, so 50% of our business is generated every year from just automated emails, which we send to the company we either work with or either
Mhm.
ask us to follow up with them in some point. So they just got email, let's say in 3 months, hey, we talked 3 months ago, you said you may have some equipment, please send me pictures if you have any. 50% of business
Mm.
every year generated by automated email. Nobody called them, nobody done anything. So this is another kind of change. So we have this, I would say, sorry, but we have this motto, right? First thing, try to automate. If you can't automate, outsource.
Mhm.
If you can't outsource, delegate. And if you can delegate, then do it yourself. So this
Mm.
is very important for anybody who does business or trying to do business, not to do everything manually, because otherwise it's no way.
Right. You were using lists in combination with Insightly or Salesforce to try and automate it before you started using Apollo.io. Is that correct?
So we use Apollo.io to send emails. So first we
Yeah.
send cold emails asking for referral. Hi, John.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out if you one of the people who manage surplus equipment, something like that. Then you send in 3, 5, or whatever days another email, different emails, a
Yep.
little bit modified. Finally, some percentage respond to you. Some percentage respond to you telling you that either he is in charge or he knows who's in charge, this is who you need to talk, or he tell you, I am not in charge and have no idea. For every of this situation, we have rules what SDR supposed to do. And then they call them, and if somebody said or implied that he or she somehow either in charge or influencers, because in big companies, several people, the stakeholders, not just one person. He might be the final decision maker, but he physically connecting with recycling company to get the stuff out of facility. So we book with them as well. So this is how the system works. And beside that, of course, the major part of prospecting, it's a cold call still. It's the best, I would say.
Certainly. But before you started using Apollo, were you using lists, or how did you acquire the information to identify companies and call them?
Yeah, before that, before we use Apollo, we use Salesforce. It just was
Okay,
not
just
that.
Salesforce. Okay.
Yeah, just Salesforce. We use different system. We use, I believe, different system. First it was Hunter.io, something like
right.
that. Yeah, then it was GetProspect.io when Hunter was banned by LinkedIn. It was the evolution. Then we released LeadIQ service to get direct numbers. And then how we come up with Apollo. This is another good story. So as I mentioned, you need to surround yourself with the right people. This is like one of biggest, like it's Steve Jobs said it, by the way. He said the first 5 people you hire the most crucial because they will be hiring people like themselves, mentally, personally. If you hire on people in the beginning, you're not gonna succeed because they will be hiring on people and the whole company will go just like wrong way. So I have a developer from India who help us to customize Salesforce. He automate everything we need. I just send him what we need to do and he just do it and it works. Some point I figure out that there is a lot of customers that we At some point, I figure out that a lot of customers we prospect, they left the company, they no longer work there, but we don't have any indication of it. When I go on LinkedIn, I see, yeah, the guy left the company. Somebody even not updating LinkedIn. LinkedIn still show that he's still there, but he's not there anymore. And you sending him automated email because he asked you to follow up with him in 3 months, but he's no longer there. And administrator just didn't delete the mail. It doesn't bounce. It showed that it's delivered, but no result. And the company already doing a business with your competitor. Once I realized that, I asked my developer, can you create some kind of script which will take lead, go to LinkedIn and check if his position is the same which is in Salesforce. And he said it's complicated to do, and he started doing research. I said, find something which can help, and he found Apollo, because Apollo provide change job. They somehow track it, and they show these things. This was another game changer. So right now, we actually, when somebody change job, I immediately see the status change to change job, so I can call and say, hey, John, we work with you. Yeah, I see you change job. Who is in that company which you left right now? And he given the referral. And this is, by the way, how I got TikTok, believe or not. So the girl who worked for Baidu, it's the largest Chinese Google search. I tried to do business with her, and she chose a different company. And this is another insight for everybody who in sales. When you lose a deal, you didn't lose anything. You just lose one deal. Build relationships with your product. Build relationship. Build relationship with your customer. So ask him, can I follow up with you in, let's say, a month or two to see how the company you chose delivered the service. Deliver the service if you're satisfied with them or not. And she said, yeah, sure, go ahead. Let me, you know what? Maybe I can turn off camera and turn on again. Just a
Sure.
well, this is hopefully it will work. And I follow up with her. And she said, yeah, they provide the service, everything is fine. But since I have Apollo that tracking her, she changed job. She left Baidu and she went to TikTok. Contacted her, said, hey, congratulations on a new job. Can you suggest who should I talk in Baidu right now? Who after? She gave me connection to that guy. I said, by the way, what about TikTok? Do you manage? And she said, yes, I am in charge. And she invited us to RFP and we won the deal.
Hmm.
Always build relationships with your customers, prospects, and never give up. Never think, oh, they've chosen somebody else. It's done. Oh, it's the end of the world. I will never do business with them. This is wrong. This is just started. When you hear no, always ask, okay, can I ask you next time you need service? Can I be the first person you call or email and tell me you need help? Just like that. This is will increase way you will get more business.
And so you've been using Apollo.io for a while now. You've talked about the fact that it gives you a lot of information, allows you to follow up, send out emails, etc., syncs with your CRM. Is there one particular feature that you feel makes it stand out above the competition?
You mean about the product?
Yep.
Or
Apollo.io.
yeah, what I like about this is all-in-one kind of thing, which really
Mhm.
works. It still have lag. It doesn't have automated messaging on LinkedIn, and I had
Mhm.
with them a conversation. I use another tool called Buzz, BUZZ dot AI. That tool allows you to create sequence that send emails and LinkedIn messages and request to connect on LinkedIn and like LinkedIn posts. And at the same time, emails all together.
Mhm.
I'm testing right now, but it doesn't provide the ability to make calls and provide direct phone number. So if I am able, would be able to combine these two tools in one, Apollo plus Buzz.ai ability with LinkedIn, this is would be
Mhm.
the best. It's a killer would be for outreach and other products because you can really set up very sophisticated sequence. First, you hit somebody on LinkedIn, just ask for connection, boom, connect. Then you send him LinkedIn message, so
Mhm.
it will go to spam. Hey, I want to ask you if you're the guy who I need to talk, something like that. And he doesn't respond, you send him you like his post again automatically, you understand.
Yeah.
Then you send him email, then another email, then you added him some, there's on LinkedIn feature, you can add some skills. So Buzz.ai provide this type of things. It can be done automatically. So it imitate you really engaging with guys. So I think this is kind of would increase the response rate and the number of deals closed.
This has been a very fascinating conversation. I'm sure listeners will have lots of takeaways. Victor, to bring things to a close, is there an aspect to creating predictable revenue or predictable growth in a business that you find doesn't get talked about very much? If so, what would they be?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so the main thing here, I would say three things. Again, first, you need to find a very solid source of new leads, like infinite source, not
Mhm.
just you got list of 20,000 companies and this is it. So you need to find a source of new leads, and those leads can go from the lists, those lists can go from the events. Like I just went to Boston Biotech, the largest biotech expo, 15,000 attendees.
Mm.
I brought 100 opportunities
Wow.
in 2 days, just in 2 days. So you need to constantly find a system that generates you new leads because you need this new blood so you can this is the first very important for any business. If you don't have a source of leads, you're not going to succeed. It doesn't how good in sales. It doesn't matter how good people you hire. It doesn't matter what is the culture, compensation, leads. It's everything. The second I said, once you get the leads, you need to create a system which can be used by anyone who can speak language without defects. Accent is nothing. You hear my accent, sometimes you probably don't understand what I said. Trust me, you can sell with any accent. This is not a problem. The problem is if people not trained enough, if they don't have understanding. So you need to create system which anybody can just, after 2 weeks of training, just start booking discovery calls. This is the second. And the third, you need to create this compensation thing, which is really make people do it because they just see the sense for them to do it, not because you boss told them this to do it. So if you do these three things, lead generation system for them, the right people who work with the leads, with the right training and compensation system, you can jump in any business. If you have insights, you have yourself a partner who understands that business, up to some point, you don't need to be really the best, like in that particular industry. You will succeed, just inevitably.
Right. And if you were listening to this episode, Victor, what would you say would be your top takeaway?
Never give up.
Right. Fair enough. And if listeners are curious, want to find out more or connect with you, where would you recommend they head to?
So if you want to hear more insights about sales, about business, how to build business, how to grow business, just find my YouTube channel, The Contributors, and you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified about. I post every week and every day shorts from different interviews. I interview like Vinay doing entrepreneurs. I interview people who achieve way more than myself and my company. So those insights can help you to grow your business, to succeed in whatever you're doing, even if you don't have business, even if you're in sales, even if you're just in project management, it doesn't matter. Can help you to sharpen, to crystallize your vision and really succeed. So just subscribe to the channel and then you can whatever you need.
We'll include a link to that in the show notes. Victor, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Vinay, for having me here. It was a real pleasure.